Hello, hi, and welcome again to the Terminal Podcast, where in the end, it's all about the numbers. We are broadcasting high above Civic Center Station, and tonight we'll continue this hireman's journey based from the castle on the hill, stumbling with another THS alum to answer a few questions. Please share your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Chris Elliott, and I'm calling from Teaneck, New Jersey.
All right, Chris, did you continue your education after graduating?
I did. Would you would you like to hear about it, or
However,
was that just a?
however you'd like to
Yeah,
describe it.
I went to UVA, University of Virginia. I was there for 4 years with another THS alum, Mr. Wale Alegbi. In fact, I recall at one point Mr. De Blasio came and visited me, and I think slept on my floor after UVA beat Florida State on a Thursday night on ESPN, ripped down the goalposts, flooded the field, stayed up way too late. That was probably the high point of UVA's football program while I was there. And then I graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering. And then about 5 or 6 years later, I started a pursuit of a master's in business administration and an MBA from Stevens University of Technology in Hoboken. I was living there. It was convenient. I worked full time. I went to school at night. And after 5 years, I got my MBA. So, yeah.
Okay. Any
No,
other
no,
personal
no,
details? Oh,
November, yeah,
go ahead,
no,
Chris.
November
Sorry.
2nd, 1995 was the date. It was the first ACC loss for Florida State. They had been in the conference for like 5 years, and they just had the 30th anniversary, Chris, a couple weeks ago. And my one buddy who came with me texted me. He's like, "Oh my God, I'm watching UVA. They're wearing the throwback uniforms. Remember when we went?" So yes, that
Yeah.
was 30 years ago.
Good times. And the next morning, I had an 8 a.m. calculus class, which I was not in attendance for some strange reason. And the professor, I don't think I'm supposed to swear on this podcast, so I'll try and keep it clean. The professor gave us an attendance quiz, and I got a
Oh,
zero, and I'm
oh,
resentful to this day. So
as you
fuck
should
you, Miss
be.
Granlin.
All right. For those listening, I'm gonna vary between Elliot, who is the interviewee, and De Blasio, who is the sidekick driving as we speak. So the next question for Mr. Elliott is, are there any other personal details you'd like to share since you're leaving of the castle on the hill?
Yeah, so I bought my childhood home over 20 years ago. So I've been married for 22 years and have two
I'm not the one
kids,
questioning
both
it.
of whom are in high school. They're at a school in Hackensack public school, and life is good.
All right. Well, Mr.
Was that,
Elliott,
was that a hard sell to the missus about buying your childhood home?
Honestly, she was like, so I'll digress. So my parents were preparing this house to sell, and I was helping my dad. I was like cleaning some stuff up, and at the time I was living in Hoboken with my now wife, and I guess we were married at this point. And I was basically like, look, I work hard, I have a good job. I can't afford anything in Hoboken. Hoboken's insane. Jersey City's not much better. Like, this is so annoying. My dad looked at me and was like, why don't you just buy this place? Right. Very matter of fact. And, to discuss it with my wife, and, it made sense. Right. Teaneck is a great town. At the time, the amount of money that my parents wanted for the house was rational. It was a little strange to be living here at the age of like 25, because it's a,
mhm,
family oriented town, but there's a express bus at the top of the block. I used to commute into Manhattan every day.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's, I mean, Northern New Jersey is the best. So
All right. There's no bias there from
no
anybody on the
bias,
pod.
zero, just
But
strong opinions, just strong opinions.
well, this afternoon, as cloudy as it might be through my screen, you are here to answer the William E. Brown Memorial Questionnaire as a former winner of this prestigious and random award. I'm here to ask someone else random questions, and after your answers, you may receive the same accolades that I did. Mr. Elliott, are you ready?
I am.
Okay. For those watching on YouTube, Chris is knocked out and looking at the top of his car, so
He's
we can
taking a
move
nap.
along with his
It's a
silence.
long day. You gotta catch your rest when you can.
Yeah, you gotta space it out as best as possible. Question number one. Do you still think and or say you're from New Jersey? And I guess this becomes
I don't. I say
specific.
I'm from Iowa. Yeah, of course.
When
I,
you
I am.
were
I literally am from New Jersey, and I probably always will be from New Jersey.
when you
So
were at
yes,
UVA, when you were at UVA, when you go across into, when you go across into Manhattan, do you specify that you're from Teaneck or do you just say you're from New Jersey?
I look. I think the challenge is that a lot of people associate New Jersey with negative things, right? It just so happens that the most heavily trafficked route on the East Coast traverses one of the ugliest parts of the state. So people associate like New Jersey with like smelly industrial stuff. Sometimes I'll tell people who are like, I'll say, "Oh, I'm from New Jersey," and you see the like kind of like the stink eye, like, ah. I'll sort of jokingly say, it's like I live in inverse Queens, and then they kind of get how close we are to Manhattan, which is, New York City is the greatest city in the world. Um, but yeah, no, I'm very proud of the fact that I'm from New Jersey. So,
Okay. Question two. What was your favorite mall growing up?
um, so Scott Hurwitz and I used to spend a lot of time at Paramus Park.
Mhm.
We did our best to get in trouble there, but no one ever held us accountable for our transgressions. Um, there was a Chick-fil-A there like a long time ago,
Yeah, mentioned that
predating
briefly.
any of the current sort of expansion. I don't know if it was open on a Sunday. It probably wasn't. I don't know that I spent a lot of time. I guess because it was in Bergen County, or it is in Bergen County, the mall wasn't open on Sunday. So by sort of virtue of that, it would have had to have been closed. But Primus Park is the answer.
When, as since you're still there, uh, when's the last time you were at a mall?
This weekend, and I'm going tonight. I have tickets to see the Depeche Mode movie
Ooh.
at the Garden State Plaza IMAX. So Depeche Mode, who was one of the first like musical groups that I ever sort of grew to enjoy because my sister listened to them and she's 4 years older, Liz.
Mm.
Shout out to Liz Elliott. They toured 2 years ago. They did a lot of filming, and for 3 nights only, tonight, tomorrow, or yesterday, today, and tomorrow. There's a Depeche Mode movie for all of those who are interested on IMAX, and I'm super psyched.
Interesting. Well, for those, this would be October 28th, 29th, and 30th would be when they are performing. So get your tickets. And
I get no commissions on
yeah,
ticket sales. I'm
neither
just
do
a I'm
I.
just a fan.
Okay. Question three, and you've answered this already. Have you ever used advanced math like pre-calculus or trigonometry since high school?
So I think most of you probably know, you being those people who are spending their time listening to this. My dad was a math teacher, Teaneck High School for a long time. Math is in my DNA. I'm an engineer with an MBA, and I'm in a pretty technical role. So yeah, I use a lot of math. Not like I feel like some of the stuff that we were exposed to, um, it's not about like using calculus, but it's about understanding the concepts and understanding why it's important. So I don't like use the hardcore math
Mhm.
on a frequent basis, but I'm involved with a lot of mathematically intensive work related items.
So
So,
then I will follow up with this question.
yep,
As a junior, senior in high school, I was in the advanced class. So I was taking the pre-cal, what was it, SMICS program, whatever it
SMICS.
was. Yeah,
Yep,
I was in that. And as a sophomore, I was taking like pre-trig and things like that. I look at back, I remember back now, I'm going, I have no idea what any of that was, how I could have possibly used it to better my, I mean, it's like I don't know what that's for. So I'll
sure.
ask, I'll ask this. Where do you think a basic average person's math needs to kind of get up to? You know what I mean? Like, what do you need to kind of know
I
to
think
be?
the one major failing, and again, I have a lot of strong opinions on a lot of subjects, but again, I grew up in a household with two public school teachers
Hmm.
as parents, and but the amount of time that we all collectively spent in class, the amount of time spent on really hammering home some basic sort of mathematical principles that help to um, define and would help an individual structure one's own personal finances, I think was, you know, significant, like supremely inadequate.
I was going to say
A lot of
minuscule at best was what I was going
yeah,
to
I
go
mean, like
with.
there were some. I know there were some like business classes that I never took because
Hmm.
I was too busy like playing trumpet and band. But the
Foreshadowing.
it's one easy way to ruin one's life is to get into financial trouble.
Hmm.
Um, and it should really be, there should be more emphasis placed around just some of the basics, time value money, what is a mortgage, like what does debt really mean, like basic stuff, because that, it's pretty important.
But we could go continue because you say basic stuff, but if you've not understood, if you've not been taught any of it, so therefore you
Of
can
course,
barely get
of course.
percentages and things
You
like
don't want to
that,
learn the hard
then
way.
basically, and that
Yeah.
that is okay. So yeah, I mean, that's the essence of that question as far as I'm concerned. It's what was I forced to learn and how much of it did I really need to learn? It's like, yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't get what I wanted, but that's neither here nor
The
there.
man, the man was holding you down. I'm back.
Thanks.
I
Yes.
agree. I agree. No, Chris, I agree with what you said. And I had the great Bob Elliott from math senior year,
Hmm.
the
Yes.
aforementioned.
Great man.
Okay, we'll move on to question four, as one is, what do you think of drivers from other states,
I
Mr.
think
Elliott?
all as De Blasio is driving around Hackensack. So this is a little bit of an aside, but I'll get back to the question. My nephew graduated from high school in
Mhm.
June in California, and my son and I flew out and attended graduation. And we had the opportunity to take a Waymo, and it was like life changing. So I truly believe so I love to drive. I still drive a stick shift. I enjoy I'm a mechanical engineer. Like I
I'm
like
so envious that you have a manual transmission, but please
yeah.
continue.
I think
Love my stick.
I don't think any human should be operating a 4,000 pound vehicle at high speeds, and I think robots will eventually take that over for us, and we will all be much safer as a result. So
So,
everyone,
what
all drivers are terrible,
with that in
regardless of
mind,
state.
with
Yeah.
that in mind, if all robots are going to take over, are we going to get the flying cars from the Jetsons? Yes or no?
Um, uh, no.
No flying
For what
cars,
purpose?
no
We
flying
need to,
cars.
if we run out of land and we have to build like into like the clouds like they did, maybe there would be a use case, but we're not quite there yet. So
You're the engineer. I'm just asking
maybe like
because
Lando Calrissian and like the Cloud City, like something like that, and then we can have
well,
some like
we could just
vehicles.
get as simple as George and Judy. They had flying cars. They had
Hey,
flying
I have a
cars.
Roomba, so that's kind of like the robot thing, that does all my cleaning.
Ah,
Well, it's the propulsion that is the difficulty in the air, right?
There
They
are
got
actually there is whatever that technology exists. I just don't know if it'll ever really become commercial.
right if
it,
it exists on a mass scale for consumers, right?
Right. Exactly.
it
Yeah.
it is a comics bit that I'm sure, not sure, but I would think Chris might remember at some point, which is no flying cars, no flying cars. I didn't think of that myself, but that is something I've always wondered.
Lewis
It's like,
Black.
well, there you go. Thank you. And with that, we'll move to question five. Do you still have or wear any of the clothing you wore in high school?
No, but I'm very jealous of Jemmy's Math Masters T-shirt that she wore at the party.
Yeah, it was,
That was
yeah.
amazing. And hold on, I have actually like this has been on my bulletin board for like years, and I didn't even sort of.
For those of you who can't see, Mr. Elliott has
So
moved off camera to
So this isn't
Oh,
Math Masters, and I don't remember where Math Masters was, which school, what grade, but this was another like similarly nerdy thing. And
Math
at some point,
Olympiads.
I found this in my house, and it's been on my bulletin board. So Math Olympiads.
Hmm. Here,
Yusuf knows.
was
Yusuf
there
knows.
was there any old clothing of yours once you moved back into that house that you nothing? It was all already.
No, it was gone. The only thing that may have remained for some time was a Square One TV jacket that I was awarded years ago. But I didn't have anything that was worth saving. So no, it was all in the trash.
Okay. Question 6. Do you remember the black door and the white door?
Of course. Well, so I remember the black door. I don't remember there being a white door.
Your
Um,
thoughts on those doors 30 years plus
I
later?
Yeah, I think so. Look, Teaneck is a magical place. It's obviously important to all of us for a variety of reasons. Um, One of the best things about Teaneck is the diverse population. But even in a place that was as progressive and as integrated as Teaneck, we still had a lot of sort of self-segregated things, and it's kind of sad, right? Like there were some. I almost didn't go to Teaneck High School. So if you remember, of course you remember, when we were in seventh grade, there was a pretty terrible incident in town,
Yeah.
the shooting of Philip Pinnell by Gary Spath, and then over the next kind of 12 to 18 months, there was a lot of crazy stuff that went down in the high school. And my dad was there, my sister was there, so they had sort of first person sort of association with some of the things that were going on. And my mom was working at Leonia Middle School, and there was some thing where they could have sent me to Leonia High School, and they almost did because they were a little worried that I was just going to get randomly beat up in high school because of the color of my skin. So, that never happened, fortunately. But yeah, it's sad a little bit. I mean, some of it's just like that's the door that faced north, and that's where the majority of the kids who were African American lived, and therefore that's how they accessed the building. But like for it to be explicitly called the black door, it's just I don't know, it's a little sad. Makes me a little sad.
Okay. Uh, question 7. Who did you have a crush on that never knew?
Uh, Sherilyn Trainee. Is that a good one? What do we say, De Blasio? Is that a good name? There we go. I see the smile. Share training. That's my final answer.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Early developer. Early developer. She was.
Okay.
As I'm walking through the hallways of my middle school saying that.
But without the context, it's sort of meaningless. So yes, I wholeheartedly agree. Next question, please.
Question number 8. Since we've graduated, how far have you physically traveled from Teaneck High School, if that was sort of the center point?
Uh, I love to travel. I've been to South Korea, which is pretty far
Mhm.
for business. I was in South Africa for pleasure. I've been to Europe a lot, but probably the furthest distances are South Africa and South Korea.
Anything from there that kind of stands out in your memory is, this is something that I, either any of your travels, I guess, that you're going, this is something that I remember seeing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
was worth it.
So I spent like 3 days in Seoul for business, and I was there with a delegation of Caucasians, a couple of folks from the U.S., one dude from the UK, and our hosts were all, Korean, and it was pretty comical when we were all together. So when it was just the Caucasians, we sought out the most down home like Korean, food because we were in Korea and we wanted to, sort of experience the culture. Um, when we were with our hosts, they were trying to appeal to our sort of Western sensibility. So we went and got like Italian food and like, and then they finally realized at the last day that we didn't want that shit, and they took us to the most incredible Korean restaurant that I've ever been to. The seafood was off the charts, traditional Korean barbecue. So there was like, they brought it. It wasn't like gas fired burners. They brought in hot coals and like this like and they put them in the table and then they had reverse suction so there was no smoke in the room. But it was just it was an unforgettable experience.
Okay. Question 9. What do you remember the science classrooms looking like?
I remember them being filled with chessboards. So shout out to Mr. Holly, nice work with Tamba. But frankly, you didn't teach me much chemistry because I don't know if you remember, we had double chemistry periods.
Hmm.
And we played a lot of chess. Me and Yusuf and Naomi Edelstein and others like maybe Alex Bleeker. I don't know. Spent a lot of time playing chess in chemistry class. And
Okay.
then I got my butt handed to me my freshman year in college because I didn't really learn very much chemistry in high school.
All right. Question 10. What do you remember most from your life before graduation?
Wow. I think maybe the thing that stayed with me the most is all the music. So I mentioned earlier that I was in the band. I was in the orchestra. I was in the marching band. I was in the jazz band. I actually ran into Fred Hendricks at the bagel shop like a week ago. He's playing at the Blue Note in 2 weeks. So another plug for an act. Should go support Fred Hendricks, Dizzy Gillespie All Stars, November 10th, November 24th at the Blue Note. Um,
Shameless plug.
we're so super close to Manhattan, obviously. So there's a lot of artists that lived amongst us. I had some amazing musical instruction. Bob Hankel was freaking phenomenal. But like just being exposed to all sorts of different types of music. I love hip hop. Um, my first hip hop tape, the A side was A Tribe Called Quest, Low End Theory. The back side was Cypress Hill. I listened to that thing all the time, and then eventually, started buying my own music, but just the music and enjoying music with friends.
Okay. Well, you have reached the end and shall receive the same accolades as this former winner. Thank you very much. Uh, as
Thank you.
always,
Oh, hey, one more thing. So,
okay.
for those of you who don't know, I'm not the most social media inclined, and the only so the 30th reunion was a freaking blast. Had a great time. It's great to see everyone. Lots of great people. It's great to see people doing well and happy and living, kind of interesting lives. The reason why I was there, the only reason why I was there, is because Martin Kester posted about it on LinkedIn. And that's one thing that I actually, spend some time on. So Martin, thank you. Without that post, I wouldn't have known about the reunion, and it was amazing. And shout out to Amy Gershon,
I
for
like the French pronunciation of it as well.
I don't know
So,
how to pronounce it, but she did a great job arranging everything. Thank you to Gavin's sister for hosting us after the fact to allow the night to continue. Shout out to Chris Ratarola for providing some amazing musical accompaniment. And it was a really good time.
well, as always, the Terminal Podcast ends with a trivia question, and you have set this up about two and three different times. In my most recent return to Teaneck, shameless plug for my podcast, The Return, I was stationed with the former Chris, who is no longer on the call, uh, in his place in Hackensack, and walked across the bridge down Cedar Lane into Teaneck. Uh, in our yearbook, isn't it funny how time flies? There's a snappy picture of you in full uniform playing said trumpet. One of the more famed parts of being in the Hireman Band includes a Thanksgiving Day walk to Hackensack High School for what was an annual butt whipping for all four that we were here and years before and years after. The number that I'm looking for is how long is the journey from Teaneck High School to Hackensack High School, or vice versa, since the route remains the same, just like the song remains the same, which I didn't realize was a live album from 3 nights at Madison Square Garden. Uh, I could ask which number in Zeppelin's discography is that live album. I believe it's 8, but all of this is a big distraction from the actual question, which I've already asked. How long is it from Hackensack High School to the Castle on the Hill?
3.5 miles.
Okay. 3.5 miles is the number. Thanks for listening to the latest W.E. Brown questionnaire. The trivia answer will be in the description for this episode. I'll be back soon enough with hopefully something better to put down, Chris or Mr. Elliott, since the other one's no longer around. Thank you very much, and take it easy down your last highway, and have a good evening, afternoon, or whatever day time it is for you.
Thank you.